Guys, look at me bouncing over here. Jumping up and down, up and down. I'm not actually jumping right now. I don't have any jump boost. I've modified the player attributes that were introduced in the last snapshot, really hoping they become potion effects. Just imagine what you could do like this. I want to get inside this platform. Wait, I think I got it. I think I got it. Yay! No! No! Hey, I'm underneath the platform. Anyway, what's up? Mang added a lot of stuff for the Sulfur Cube in the last snapshot, as well as a lot of different properties that you can mess with, all of which can be applied to the player. Now, I am totally aware that there's a lot of disappointment surrounding the Sulfur Cube and what it could do, especially since the flying machine is not possible in Java Edition. I'd also like to point out that it probably isn't possible on Bedrock Edition anymore, ever since the last preview, but this video is not going to talk about that. This is a DVD logo that I just put together in the last 30 minutes. This is a concept I made many years ago. I don't know if there's anyone who's been subscribed to the channel for that long who remembers, but this utilizes a lot of the new properties that you can play around with in survival mode. In the last snapshot, Mojang added 3 new properties that can be attributed to the player: bounciness, air drag, and ground friction. For example, an oak log inside the Sulfur Cube has very high bounciness but very low air drag. What that means is that if you hit it with a netherite axe, it bounces very high and sails a long way. We'll put a white wool in there this time, and a white wool bounces very high but has a lot of air drag. And so if you hit it, it doesn't travel as far. So we're gonna do this thing again, build our flying machine, leash that to that, jump in, apply our slow falling, and we're gonna slowly hit this off the platform and watch what happens to the Sulfur Cube as it drops down into the water. It's gonna take a very long time. Notice how you're basically parachuting all the way down because of the drag here and the slow falling. And so discovering this is a very janky process, I'm aware. Because of the slow falling technique of the Sulfur Cube that has white wool in it, you can actually levitate yourself across a large distance by simply hitting a Sulfur Cube that has a very high air drag value with the exact same Sulfur flying machine setup, just like this. I'm actually gaining quite a bit of height, so if I just slow down a little bit, I'm still floating across the water. I've switched out to a netherite spear because it does a lot more damage, because now that strength is the determinant instead of knockback, I have a strength 2 potion that I'm going to drink right now. And now I'm really flying. So I know this is really stupid and it's not as fun as the previous setup. It's kind of hard to control now because of angular momentum. But yes, this is not really a practical demonstration of something, even though I'm like 160 blocks up now. This is more of an explanation of the new attributes that Mojang have added, and you can modify them. You can add them to yourself, and this is a lot of fun. So first of all, let's make yourself bounce. So attribute at S, bounciness is the attribute. You obviously know your bounciness is 0 because if you jump, you don't really bounce. However, if you set your bounciness to like 0.5, like so, now let's jump, you start bouncing a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Let's set it to the maximum value of 1. And now you just bounce a lot. It's really quite hard to, it's hard to navigate terrain. You can't really time your jumps. It's doable, but you'll notice I'm not actually pressing spacebar. The rebound off the ground is calculated a little bit differently now. You can cancel your jumpiness by simply holding shift. So let's jump off this ledge. If I hold shift, the bounciness is gone. And now if you jump off this tree, this mountain, like this, I've got resistance. You can see that the rebound is enormous. So it's just like the entire ground underneath you is a slime block. If you run into a wall, it hits you off. It's like a Newtonian law. Now it's not as easy to demonstrate until I apply the second attribute, which is ground friction. Once again, your friction modifier currently by default is 1. So if you're running, you actually go to a halt because the ground underneath you isn't exactly very slippery. What is going on here? All right, so we're gonna set the friction modifier to 0. And what that means is if I start tapping forward, I begin sliding across the ground. All right, so let's run into the wall here. You can see I'm rebounding off like a pinball. You're basically in practice starting to become a Sulfur Cube. And now the effects are really magnified with the third attribute, which is air drag. Once again, your air drag value is 1, which prevents you from constantly moving forward because the air around you is pushing you back. And so let's set that to 0. And once that is done, we're gonna give ourselves a trident. We shall enchant it with Riptide 3, and let's sail. And we will start bouncing everywhere. I'm not really doing anything on my keyboard at all. I can sort of direct myself if I want to, but it's really not possible. If I hit a wall, I'm gonna rebound right back like this. I don't know if I can get to the village over there. Oh, that's an abandoned village. I wonder what happens if we go 1,000 blocks in the air. I don't want to land in water. That'll be the— oh, that was fast. Everything just feels so much denser now. You're just falling everywhere. Still going. I released a short earlier where I maced a Sulfur Cube from like 1,000 blocks up. This feels almost identical. There are some insane techniques that you can pull with all this stuff. I think the hope of the community right now is to allow a lot of these things to be doable in survival. Just imagine the limits you can break. If you can ride the sulfur cube while you're injecting all these crazy physics to it. Yeah, the chunks do not want to load for me right now. Where's the creeper face? Can we see the creeper face from here? Oh, there it is. Nice. So now understanding how all of this works, I've simply applied a 0 friction modifier to the cube, as well as 0 air drag and 100% bounciness. So what that means is that it's going to bounce across each of these walls with no resistance, and it'll just keep sliding across the terrain. And that oak log is just a retextured DVD logo. We're only on week 1 of snapshots, and already there's so much potential to this thing. And as we know, anything that we discover right now can be patched because we're not entirely sure whether it's intended behavior or not. For example, we can hope that the sulfur cube can stick to the bottom of blocks. Leashing and spearing is insane. Even macing, the potential is there. All we can do is keep innovating and providing feedback on the possibilities that we discover. And who knows, maybe one day we can fly with the cube in survival mode. Bouncy bounce.